Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Chicken Box, yes, with two X's, where we say, don't be a chicken and get on the box, speak your truth. We are so happy to have you here live this afternoon from the Afro Studios, and we're going to have such an exciting, invigorating conversation today with our special guest. But before I even introduce our guest, I want to introduce our guest co-hostess or co-host for today. This is her very first time on the box, and so I want you to meet Ashley. Impeccable is traveling on today. Courtney is no longer with us. However, we still are determined to have this multi-generational, intergenerational show each week, each Thursday at noon. And so we're glad to be here. I guess before I introduce Ashley, I should introduce myself. What do you think, Ashley? I should.
I love that. They might know who you are, though.
Right, they might. But I'm Frances Tony Draper, CEO and publisher of the 131 now, 31-year-old Afro-American newspapers. Go to afro.com. You can find out all about who we are, but we are the third oldest Black business of any kind in the United States and the oldest family-owned Black newspaper in the country. And so welcome to the box. Now, if you're from the Baltimore area, you know that a chicken box, Ashley, our viewers know it's 4 wings and fries. And then there's a debate about whether it's ketchup and hot sauce, ketchup or hot sauce, or just like I like mine, just plain, just a little salt and pepper and just plain. And so let's just hop into, first of all, Ashley, you are our assistant editor, graduate of HU.
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am. You know.
right. So say a little bit more about yourself, and then I'm going to ask that you introduce our special guest for today.
Yes, ma'am. So I am a native of North Carolina. I moved to DC to spend my 4 years in college, and I just recently decided to make it home with my Afro family. So I've been working these last couple of months to provide coverage in the DMV area, getting to know many people, including our speaker today, Miss Terri Crook. So a little bit about her. She is a career coach, a motivational speaker, and chief executive officer of It's Only Halftime, which is a podcast that she produces to help empower the lives of women globally, to help them get their second win or their second wind. So we are so excited to have her today and to speak on the topic of women empowerment. It's amazing. Welcome, Miss Terri Crook. How are you?
I'm awesome.
Yay.
Welcome, Terri. I met Terri a couple of weeks ago. Just a dynamic. I know it's going to come through the screen. Terri, I'm sorry that Impeccable's not here today because the two of you would just, Ashley and I could just, just kind of lay back. Really, really high energy. I love the work that you do, right? And so we're going to get into that. We see in the background your poster that says, so that's the first time I think I'm going to ask you about. It's halftime. And so welcome to the Chicken Box to you. Welcome to the Chicken Box to all who are watching. Byron Dees, I saw you weigh in. And so if you're watching us live on Facebook, let us know that you are here and let us know where you are from, right? So we want to know about our guest as well. This is a multi-generational show. So I'm representing the boomers. Ashley, you are Gen Z.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Terri, are you someplace in the middle there?
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead since I'm live. I'm going to go ahead and tell the truth. Okay, I'm a boomer. All
Okay.
right.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. Gen Xers and millennials and Gen A's. If you're watching, come on and weigh in so we can balance this a little bit. All right, Terri, tell us about halftime.
Well, it's only halftime. You're still in the game. Is a message that I came up with when I was during the halftime of my life. When I turned 50, I was still working, and I said, "Wait a minute now. There's other things that I want to do in life," and I said, "It's not too late to do it." But my parents taught me that because they got their degrees after the age of 40. Okay. And so I looked at that. I looked at my life And I said, I got to come up with a message. And at this particular time, I was training with Les Brown. And so I came up, and Les Brown is an international speaker, originally out of Miami. He's Miss Mamie Brown's baby boy. And when he says Miss Mamie Brown can cook, trust me, because when I was in training, I was there getting some of her sweet potato pie because she can cook. But anyway, I I came up with this because I was turning 50 when I was working with him, and I said, you know what? Despite your age or circumstances, when you turn 50, it's only halftime. You are still in the game. And I've been living by that, and I've been teaching and preaching it to everybody about that, despite your age or circumstances, because it's a mind thing. Okay? It's
Right.
a mind thing.
It's my thing. Well, if Terry said halftime, Ashley, you just in the first quarter. So
That's right.
you got,
That's right.
a lot. But there are people even in your age group, Ashley, who say, who get stuck. What do you think?
Yes, I definitely think so. And I think when we're pursuing our dreams, some people think they're just starting, this is just the beginning, and they don't even know how to build their own platform or jump into it unafraid. So, my question to you, Ms. Crook, would definitely be, how do you get past fear of starting or taking the first step in a new journey?
First of all, you got to get out of your mind, okay? Because
Mm,
sometimes your mind is not your best friend. All
Mm.
right, because you'll sit back and you start to second guess everything, and a lot of times if you go with your gut feeling, that's usually the right thing to do, the right move to make. But we don't trust our gut, because what we'll do, we'll sit there and we'll think so long and so hard, and we start having these conversations with ourselves. You shouldn't do that. Yes, you should. No, you shouldn't. Yes, you should. And then before you know it, you're not doing it. Okay. And somebody else starts to do it. And then you go back. I knew I should have done it. Well, why didn't you do it? So it's we have to get out of our minds. That is the main thing. Trust your gut and go for it.
And go for it. That's really good. Oh, and, and Terry, I think that our viewers would love to know. You said you got to 50. It was halftime for you, and you said, "Hey, I need to do something different. Different than what? Where were you? What were you doing before you decided to do what you're doing now?"
Well, I was speaking, but only when I was working for the federal government,
mm,
I was speaking then, and I was getting a lot of opportunities to speak while I was working. And before I left the service, I ended up working with my the state senators, the congressmen, and they would, when they discovered how well I could speak, and particularly on issues that their folks needed to hear, I they would always give me that platform to speak. And I absolutely loved it because I love serving, I love helping people. And and when I was a senior manager when I was working, and one of the things that I discovered, I would sit down and have these meetings with people. What's your passion? What is it you want to do? And some people would chase the pay. And I said, don't chase the pay, chase your passion. I said, come on, let's come up with a game plan and see how we can do this. And we would come up with a game plan, and it just made me feel wonderful to watch their eyes light up when an opportunity would come and they were prepared to apply for it. Okay. And so, and when I go and talk to kids, uh, the youth, when I go and talk to young people, I've gone to universities and I've asked the young people about what's your major? And a lot of them were majoring in what their parents wanted them to major in, and not what they want to major in. And so I said, major in your passion and not the paycheck. Major in what you want to do, because it's going to be all about you when you walk out of that door with your degree.
Well, I love it. A major in your passion, not not in your pay.
Paycheck.
not
Mm-hmm.
in your paycheck. I love that. If you're just tuning in, this is the Chicken Box, empowered by the 131-year-old Afro-American newspapers, and we are having a conversation with Terri Crook, who is a motivational speaker, a coach, an author, an influencer. She's going to tell us about that, and our newest co-host, Ashley Fields. So, Ashley. I just heard Terry talk about majoring in your passion and not in your pay. You know, people say if you do what you love, the money will follow. What do you think about that? What did you hear on the college campus? You're not far away from that, only a few months.
Well, it definitely reminds me of what Toni Morrison said, and especially because you talked about being an author in your book. So she said, "No Black woman has ever written enough," which is a phrase that inspired me throughout my time on campus. I worked at the newspaper, and it caused me to, question my passion. Am I, writing for myself, or am I writing for other people? And I found that when I was writing for myself to express myself, I was getting a deeper understanding of who I was, helping other people do the same thing at the same time. So I completely understand what you're saying about making sure you're chasing your passion and not your paycheck. And so I wanted to carry on that conversation to ask about how you were able to do that through your book. It's your time. It's only halftime, your playbook to your second win. What did you put in that book? What were some phrases, some words that people in the audience who are viewing right now might be able to use to get up and push themselves or motivate themselves after they finish watching this?
Well, one of the things that I wanted to make sure that everyone knew, because sometimes we feel like we have milestones, okay? When you reach 40, all right, that's when, well, lately, I should say, during the boomer stage, when we reach 40, that was the milestone. But now, the generation now, when they reach 25 or 30, they celebrate. Where you going? They going overseas to have a party, okay? And we would go out back and have a party. But the thing about it is a milestone and I always looked at 40 as the first milestone because that's when you start your career gets ready to make that shift. For a lot of people, particularly those in the military, you can retire early at 40. Okay. And in some parts of the government, if you're working like in the criminal investigation division or whatever, some positions you can retire at 40. And some people have made plans to retire at 40. So that's a major shift. And a lot of times, too, when people get married, a lot of times when they turn 40, their kids are leaving home at the age of 40. Okay. So when you become 40, you're sitting there and you're looking at your spouse and you're going, what are we going to do now? Or you're looking at yourself and you're saying, what are we going to do now? And a lot of them go, well, I had this dream, but they don't remember what the dream was because they tucked it away because they focused on their marriage, or they focused on the kids, or they focused on their careers, or they were fortunate enough to take care of their parents. Everybody became first and they took their dreams away. And so I come and I say, look, I'm going to help you uncover those smothered dreams. Okay. And we're going to write up a plan because first we got to talk about you, do an assessment. That's where I'm listening to you, listening to the things that you have a passion for, asking the right questions. Because I know sometimes I got to dig hard because you done tucked that thing away. So, you don't, sometimes you don't even remember where you tucked it. So we dig deep to find out what those dreams are. And then we sit down and we discuss why you tucked them away. And then once we get rid of the why, then we sit down and we do a little, I do a little procedure where we get through the fear, okay? Because sometimes we use excuses as to why we're not doing it, okay? Because it's not all the time that you can't accomplish your dreams while you're married, while you have kids, but that's where when we're talking to ourselves, we're telling ourselves one thing and doing another. So I come in and then I put together help put together a game plan with you. And then we get you an accountability partner. And before you know it, you live in that dream. You live in that dream.
So let me ask you this, Coach Crook. Do you find differences in how women and men approached halftime? And that may not be a fair question, but because I don't know what your client base is. And hello to Jewel. Jewel, I saw you checked in. Hello to everybody who's checking in. Do you work mostly with women, mostly with men? Is there a mixture? Do you find a difference or not between how we approach halftime, how brothers approach halftime?
Well, I mostly work with women, but when I do my shows, I've had men and women on the shows. Okay. And the thing about it is, a lot of men will just take the nosedive. Okay. But for us, we'll sit there and we think, and and we just sometimes we get so into our heads that we don't move as fast. Where the men, they just hold their breath and they just jump and they go, well, if I don't land standing up, I know I can get up. Okay, and so they just go for it a lot of times. But women, we're always, well, I can't leave. I can't leave, little Ray Ray out there. Because he may come home or he may need something. So I gotta stand ready to help him. Instead of just saying, look, Ray Ray gonna be fine because you helped him during those years and you got him ready. So it's your time now. It's your time. So that's where I come in, coaching and mentoring, okay? Doing both of that to my clients to help push them along when I see them getting stuck or afraid not to jump.
All
That's a
right.
beautiful.
Yep. Ashley, before we get Terrence's question about the Presidential Achievement Award, did you have anything you wanted to ask, Terry?
Yeah.
I Thank you. There you are. You're back.
Oh, yes. I just wanted to mention what you said about timing and trusting your timing, because you have shared a lot of your story, a lot of your success, and you've also been able to work with great leaders and mentors in this media industry game, specifically Kathy Hughes, the namesake of the college that I graduated from. And you're
Yes,
also a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, where you are a sister to people, just like Dr.
yes,
Draper. And so I
yes.
wanted to ask how you are able to use other people's success to motivate you and to motivate other people and to provide that support and help people instead of diving deeper into their shell come out. What would you say about that?
Well, I love using examples of others, and one of the examples that I use is my own father. Okay, my father um, had gone out. He won. He was a boxer, and he had won Golden Gloves, and so then he was moving on to the Olympics. Okay, and he got in there. This was the round that would decide who goes to the Olympics. He won the fight, but unfortunately, he broke his hand. So since he broke his hand, he couldn't move to the Olympics. Okay. He was disqualified. They had to pull someone else in. So now he's faced with, do I continue on? Because the Olympics only comes every 4 years. So do I continue on or do I stop now? And he decided to move on. But now moving on came with a heavy price. They talked about him so bad because here he was, 31 years old in the Olympics, okay? And he's with 17-year-olds, okay? Muhammad Ali was 17 when he went into the Olympics. My dad, 31. And they go, this old man, is he going to be able to pull this off? I mean, I read the articles and I was like, what? And I asked my dad, I said, why did you continue on? And he said, because I knew I could. He said, it's up in here. He said, when we go into the ring, It's all about up in here. What you're telling yourself here. What you tell yourself here, everything else gets it. Everything else gets it. He said, he said, now, you can't just walk into the ring the day of the fight and then start talking to yourself. He said, you do have to prepare. But he started preparing. And every day he was talking to himself. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. And he did it. And in 1960, Rome, Italy, he stood there next to Muhammad Ali and Wilbert Skeeter McClure and became the middleweight champion of the world. Okay. And he had to change his weight class. Okay. They said, if you lose a little weight, if you lose weight, we can put you in. Okay. Because he was on the team, but he wasn't the top 3. But they kept watching how he trained. He trained and they loved it. And so then they came up to him and they say, if you gain weight to get to the middle, that's what it was. And he had no problem there because my mom was a good cook. So he gained the weight. He got in the ring, won by a knockout.
You said a lot. So here's what I heard you say. You got to change your mindset first. Then you have to be willing to do what it takes to get to the next level. It's just not going to happen, right? Yes. But you got to change your mindset and say, like the little engine that could, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, and you can speak to this, Terri, we talk ourselves out of things.
Yes.
We find reasons why we can't instead of reasons why we can.
That's right. That's right.
Right. So
that's right.
So that whole, okay, so here's a little video.
You sacrificed your dream, not because you didn't feel you could reach it, but because life happened. You got married, had kids, focused on your career, taking care of your parents, and with that, your dream took a back seat. You're now looking at the scoreboard. You're not winning. The game you always wanted to play and think it is too late to pull off a victory. Well, I've got news for you. It's only halftime and you're still in the game. My name is Coach Terri Crook, and I'm going to coach you to win during the second half of your season. You see, you're not too old. You're not too busy. You already have what it takes, but what you don't have is the playbook. But you're in luck. I do. It's only halftime, you're still in the game, is my coaching program for high-achieving individuals that are finally ready to pursue their dream career. I'm going to get you off that bench and back into the game through my playbook where I help you to assess who you are, define your passion, identify your position, and create your game plan for winning the career of your dreams. If you're ready for a win, I'd love to be your coach. To learn more, go to CoachTerriCrook.com. Again, that's CoachTerriCrook.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Wonderful. I love it. Somebody's got to be asking who's watching. And for those who are watching, we always say, welcome to the box. We're glad that you're here. This is the Chicken Box powered by the Afro-American newspapers, better known as just Afro News. Hey, Laura Bell, we're glad to have you, and Byron and Jewel and others who are on today. And so, share this broadcast, let other people know that we are here having this conversation with the very motivated, energetic, accomplished Coach Terri Crook. Terri, somebody's got to be asking, and I know it probably varies depending on the person, but on average, how long do people work with a coach? And on average, what's the commitment one in time and one in, how much does it cost? People might want to know. I know it's going to vary. If you can just give a range, I know it depends on the person's situation.
Well, they can reach out to me, and I'll do a free 15-minute consultation with them, just to get an idea. And then afterwards, we start working towards the plan, and that would be um, $499. And then we would set up a plan for them, and we have like 3 sessions for the plan. Okay. And then I would work with them to get an accountability partner, because that's what helped me along when I was trying to reposition myself financially. Okay. And so I got an accountability partner, and it really helped me, because before I retired, I was I got to spending money, honey, because when you get these promotions and all of a sudden you just think, oh man, I'm rising. Okay. So my wardrobe had to rise with me. My car had to rise with me. Everything around me had to rise, and everything was rising. Okay. But it was rising higher than me. And I looked up one day and I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to file bankruptcy. That's how bad it got. And I sat down with a girlfriend who said, you're telling people all the time how to come out of it. Why don't you do what you tell people to do and put yourself on a plan and see what happens when things, you can tell everybody what to do, but when it happens to you, you sitting there going, aura. And I did. I put myself on a plan. I was not spending like I spent. I didn't have to file bankruptcy. And so by the time I retired, all my bills were paid. And I was able to purchase my retirement home in Atlanta before I moved, and moved my mother in with me before she transitioned. And so that's another message that I have in helping people. But at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm at this state. It was embarrassing, to be perfectly honest. But when I got out of it, I felt like my dad when he got that gold medal, honey. Yes, it was a good feeling.
Great feeling. So you said your salary was rising, and you were rising to keep up with your rising.
Yes. Yes, you go to events, and you feel like you got to have a different outfit. And then I learned how to, okay, like on social media, if you go wear this outfit now, you wait 3 months down the road, you just wear it again. They ain't gonna remember.
That's right. You don't remember yourself what it was.
Exactly.
Change your shoes and accessories, and you got yourself a new outfit.
You learn how to do it without putting yourself in the hole. Yes.
That's another whole conversation. What you think? What you thinking, Ashley? You have a question or a comment?
I'm just saying, I definitely understand, especially in the age of social media. Everything is so quick. You see so many people switching bags and purses, but looking the part isn't the same as playing the part. And so I think that's what I got from that conversation right there. And your videos, of course, too, just staying disciplined. I find like being so young is the hardest part, but the reward truly does come in the routine and doing what you need to do before you do what you want to do. So that's inspiring to me. Yeah.
I like that, Ashley, doing what you need to do before you do what you
want
to do. And
That's
so many
right.
times we put off what we need to do. And we do what we think we want to do and don't do what we need to do. I think don't ask me to say that again. So it sounds like, Terri, we are our, as they say, our worst enemies. We're the ones that are in our own way. Would you agree with that?
Exactly. And it goes back to mindset. So
how do we change our mindset? What do you find works for a changed mindset?
Well, you got to be able to not be afraid of change. Okay. Because that was one of the things that I saw in myself. Okay. And I think a lot of people, if you just think about like when you're on the job and they said, okay, we're going to change a procedure of way we've done things. And then people go, change? No, you didn't think. Now we've been doing this all this time and it seemed to be working, and now you want to change, you know. And so you have to say to people, well, let's just look at it and let's just look and see what this change entails. Okay? Because sometimes when you see it coming, you start running, it may not be as bad as you think, you know? You just think, oh, this the big bad wolf, and you run it, and it ain't the big bad wolf. It could be a prince, honey, that got something for you, but you running, you didn't stay long enough to see if the shoe fit. so I so I always tell people, listen about something before you just write it off. That's the first thing. How you approach things. That's the first thing. And then the next thing is be open. Be open. Okay? Because sometimes you learn so much. If we had not been open to computers, we would still be living by memos, and it would take days before we would get the information. Okay. And look how newspapers are now going digital, where you can go on your computer and read the news right away. Find out the news right away. Find out the news while it's happening. Okay. Not after it has happened. That's called change. So, and then look at hairstyles, look at glasses. Okay. And I remember back in the 70s, okay, when we were wearing the afros and so forth. And then I look up and I see now the kids are wearing the afros, and it is just interesting because my mother would say all the time, when we would wear the shoes that where they tied around your ankles, and she says, "Oh, those shoes were out when I was in school, and I should have kept them." And I went, really? They were out then? And now I see some of the styles that we wore back in the day are coming out now. So it's nothing wrong with change. It's just a cycle. It's just a cycle.
So nothing new out of the. Yes, we do get our news a lot digitally now. So we hope that our listeners and viewers will go to afro.com, sign up for your. This is my shameless plug. Sign up for your subscription. It's less than the cost of two Uber Eats, probably one Uber Eat now. For $40 a year, you can get the digital edition, 52 issues. You can't beat that. And there are still people that like the print edition. I'm finding out, but for $100 a year, you can get both the print and the digital, and you can even give one away. We mail the print to an address. So you say, no, I want everything digital. Fine, give your print copy away. And so do 10 bucks a month, do $100 a year, whatever it takes, and whatever city you're in. We want you to support afro.com, but there are Black newspapers all over the country that need our support. So that's my commercial for the day. That's my commercial. Let's support our own as we are finishing up Black Business Month. Black Business Month. Find time to get that started. So Terri, what are some of the reasons, I don't want to call them excuses, that you hear us give for not wanting to make a change?
Well, some people say, they'll go, I don't know why we're doing that. It wasn't nothing wrong with the old way we were doing it. Why we got to do it this way? Okay. And no, it's nothing wrong with the old way, but there's a lot of right about the new way if we would just listen, look and listen before we judge.
Got it. All right. So sometimes we're stuck and we don't want to move. So are you working on a new book, Terri? What you doing?
I'm not working on a new book, but I am working on launching that podcast, because at first I was just doing 2 minutes with Terri. And so now I'm working on launching the podcast. In next month, I have a milestone birthday. I will be turning 65. And I'm letting everybody know the truth, because I used to tell people, they say, "How old are you?" I said 45. And I would say that all the time. Even when I was working, I would always lie. I said, only HR knew my true age. I would never Tell it. And then I go, I'm retiring early. I started early, I'm retiring early. But now I embrace it. I really do because it's I realize how much of a blessing it is to be able to have lived as long as I have lived, to be able to learn as much as I have learned and be able to pass it on. Okay, because that's what we should do. When you learn something, share something. Okay. And then I also am teaching people that it's not about the time it takes to get there, it's taking the time to get there.
Okay, so we've got a couple of questions from our audience. Craig wants to know how much does what Taryn wanted to know earlier about your Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award, and then Craig wanted to know about how much environment or technology affects change, in your opinion. So let's go back to the Lifetime Achievement Award, and then we can Presidential Achievement Award.
Okay, so this award is given by the presidents that are in office. And at the time, President Obama was in office when I was working and when I um, retired. So when I got nominated because of the amount of service that I was providing and so forth. And the president signed off on it, and I got it live and in living color in my office. Yes, I was just so proud and honored to receive that award. Yes.
Congratulations. I got mine from Biden, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And I cherish the Biden one,
Yes,
but
exactly.
to have it from Obama, yeah, that's
Yes.
cool. And so another viewer asked about how much our environment or technology affects change. There's a question up on the screen.
Wow. Yes, our environment, because um, like you could tell by the things like with climate change, you see how much that we contribute to the environment that causing a lot of the things that change. For instance, plastic. I drink a lot of water. Okay, but I drink water in plastic bottles. And I go to Costco's, yes, and I get my bottled water, and I just be so happy. Like when I go for my annual physical, and they tell you to get on the scale, and I go, well, wait a minute now, because I just drank a liter of water. But the thing about it is, water cleanses. It helps your skin. It helps the food that you eat, good, bad, or cold or ugly, whatever you eat. That water helps it to come through. So what we do in the environment with the plastic, it impacts. Okay, and so when I went overseas, I saw a lot of people didn't use plastic. They're not even using plastic bags. They're using paper bags. So it's just taking us a little time because it's that word change again. Change. All right. So, but once we get rid of the plastic, we will probably see some great changes with our environment. And then, the electric cars too, with the gas and so forth, we'll probably see some changes there as we begin to turn the curve with the electric cars. I hope I answered your question.
Greg, let us know that answered your question. We're having this conversation with Terri Crook, who is I guess it's fair to say, a life coach. Would you consider yourself? She's
I A dreams coach.
a dream coach. All right. Who is a dream coach, the author of a book, It's Halftime, the moderator of 2 Minutes with Terri, that's getting ready to turn into a full-fledged podcast that she is launching next month. Did you say September?
Yes.
She's launching next month. And what's the name rather of your new podcast?
It's only halftime with Terri Crook.
It's only halftime with Terri Crook. Can you give us a little preview? What can we expect on the podcast?
Yes, well, I'm going to be interviewing a lot of ladies who acquired success after the age of 40.
Got it.
Okay. I'm going to have some celebrities on. I'm going to have the girl next door on. And then I'm going to slide in some of the guys who have acquired success after the age of 40. Yes. And then I'm going to, and then at the last episode, I'm going to ask the millennials to um, submit their mother, their godmother, their grandmother, their auntie, whoever sacrificed their dreams for them. And so I will be giving them a free session, and we're just going to have some great surprises, some wonderful gifts for that millennials relative or person that sacrificed to help them realize their dreams.
Okay, millennials and Gen Zers like
And
Ash.
Gen Zers, yes, yes, yes.
That's
Exactly.
beautiful.
Millennials and Gen Zs.
When you said that about chasing your dreams and your goals, I immediately thought about Viola Davis and how much and how hard she worked before she got to see her
That's
claim to
right.
fame on the screen.
Yes.
I just want to ask a question really quickly too about another organization that you are leading, the Women of Color Empowerment Institute, and how that's been affecting you as a mentor and providing services to those in your community.
Wow. Well, I joined the organization in Fort Lauderdale because that's the mothership, as we call it. And Bernadette Norris Weeks is the founder, and I was one of the charter members of the organization there. And we would have workshops with leaders, those who were aspiring to become leaders. They were our mentees. Okay. And then those who were in leadership positions. And we would come together and have powwows and talk about the challenges and of being a leader. Okay. When you're faced with certain situations, how do you respond? How do you show up when you're the only one of color and female in the room, and you say something but they don't hear you, and then the person next to you who's a male may say something and they heard them, but they're saying the same thing you said. How do you react? How do you respond? So we have meetings and powwows about that to help each other show up when we have those opportunities to be in the boardrooms and be in meetings and being able to represent and so forth, and give a voice. Okay. So we started a chapter here in Atlanta as a result of what we're doing down in Fort Lauderdale. So it's a beautiful thing because there's some wonderful women here in Atlanta, and I just love being attached to them because of what they bring to the organization.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because we did not say that during your introduction. Terry is based in Atlanta, uh, um, right along with our co-host Impeccable, who's not here today. He's traveling on today. He also is in Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
Ashley, you're in DC, I believe, and I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. So we're representing those three areas. Uh, Craig refined his question some, Terry, about the environment. So Terry, if we could put his question, he really wanted to know about people who are in your sphere of influence. Do we resist change because we want to stay comfortable? We want to stay around this, the people that we are used to being around. That was his question.
Okay. And yes, that happens sometimes too, because you find sometimes you can find yourself attached to people who don't like change either. Okay. And so, but somebody's got to make the change. And the thing about it is, if you're around a good core of people where you can have these real conversations talking about change, the benefits, the trials, um, you're gonna come up with somebody somewhere is the list of the good versus the good as to why you should make the change versus why you shouldn't. And one way to test how well you accept it, look at the 5 people that you're around the most. Okay. How well do each of you accept change? How well do you deal with it? How well are you moving up in the things that you want to accomplish as a group? Because you are probably the sum of the 5 people that you're around the most. And I would say start there in examining how you accept change as to how you deal with it with the people that you are around. What are the conversations that you're having as things are changing all around us? How well do you accept it? How well are you adjusting? How well are you fighting and pushing against it? You can tell by the conversations you're having with the 5 people that you are around the most.
So our mothers were right. You're known by the company you keep. I
Yes,
think one thing that's really hard, and maybe you can speak to this, is to change that circle of that sphere of influence.
that's right.
Because everybody that you're around is not going the same direction. And it's difficult, isn't it, Terry, to change that as well?
It is difficult, but and it's not always in what you do, is how you do it.
Mhm.
You know, you don't have to leave them alone forever. They just don't have to be a part of your everyday, you know? And then if they are, maybe the conversation that you're having with them could be a little different to try to get them to see things. And remember, it's not always in what you say, it's how you say it. Okay. Because if you say it as though you're their mother, they may not accept it well. But if you're saying it like how counselors do, they just ask questions. And by the time they finish asking questions, they got you thinking.
Yeah.
And that's how you could do it as well.
Yeah, that brings
Instead of
me
being judgmental, just ask.
right. That brings me to the questions. I think sometimes people confuse these two. What's the difference between a coach and a counselor?
Well, a coach is really, let's look at it like, I'll say like a football coach. Okay. A football coach is relying on your skills, and he's looking at your skills, and he's giving you the plays, telling you what to, sharing with you what should happen when you go out on that field. Okay. But a counselor is asking you questions to hear what you got to say and what you plan on doing when you get out on the field. Okay. Now, I'm glad you asked that. Here's a book by Tony Dungy. Okay. And it's called The Mentor Leader. And Tony Dungy was a coach in the NFL. Okay. I loved him when he was a coach with the NFL because you could see how he was coaching and how he was mentoring. And he says, as a mentor, what you share, what you teach as a mentor, they can carry with them when they move to another team. Okay. But when you're coaching them, these are things that they're doing right then, right there, while they're on your team. So and sometimes this can be a little bit of both, but a mentor, just remember, a mentor is going to be with you a lot of times to the end. A coach is going to take you but so far, and then you go from there.
All righty. So Ashley, you get the last question, then we're going to get on the box. And the box is the opportunity for you just to speak your truth on this topic or any topic for like 2 minutes or so before we close the show. So Ashley, you have any questions before we jump on the box?
I guess my last question would be, who was your most impactful mentor growing up, coming up, that helped you find what you want to do in life, your passion, that you still think about and draw from today?
Wow. I have to say my parents, okay? Because my mother was a two-time cancer survivor, and she survived. When she passed back in 2016, it wasn't even from cancer because she beat that. Okay, she had breast cancer. She was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she beat that. But the first time she was diagnosed with cancer, she had bone cancer, and she wore prostheses. They were really experimenting, and they put uh, a bone inside of her leg, and she outlived that bone. for 10 years, and then she had to have her leg amputated. I took her last walk with her leg with her, and she just cried and cried and cried. And I let her cry as she was making that last walk. When we got to the room, I said, Mom, they cut off your leg, but they didn't cut off you. You're going to still be with us. And we're in this together. And we're going to walk again together. It's just going to be a new way of walking. And before she left that hospital, because they taught her how to walk upstairs, they taught her how to walk, how to get in the tub, how to just live life with that prosthesis. Okay. We even had a we had a her car shifted where she could drive with her left foot and taught her how to drive. Now let me tell you, that took a lot of patience, because when she put that foot up on that thing, and we were all going back like this, but we did it, and she did it. And then I would buy her clothes that would be long but sassy, to make her feel good and want to dress up and get out. And because she was a Delta also. And I wanted her to feel good about going to sorority meetings, feel good about when she was on these committees and she had to go and do different little things. I wanted her to feel good, because, we look good. We feel good. And when we step out, we're ready when we have on our armor. Okay. And I wanted her to look just like that. And that's up until the end. She lived her life despite her circumstances. We just came up with a new plan for her.
Love it. I love it. Well, let me say to our guests who've been watching, and thank you, Terri. To everyone who's been watching, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been, for me anyway, a fascinating conversation with Terri Crook, life coach, motivator, author, podcaster, influencer, and things that just have not yet even happened. She's laying claim to them uh, as she celebrates 65 years of life soon. And so if you're at halftime at 50, she's got plenty more time to go, another 35, 40 years or so to go. And so to everybody who is watching, again, thank you for being with us. I'm Frances Tony Draper, CEO of the Afro. I'm now on the box just to say how important it is, I believe, to live your dreams. Your dreams are not dictated by your age. They're not dictated by your circumstances, definitely not dictated by your income. They're dictated by your imagination. And so those of us who are believers, we stand on the premise that there's nothing too hard for God. So if there's nothing too hard for God, who are we to say that we can't do? So I would say to anybody who's watching, take can't out of your vocabulary. You can do all things through Christ. You can do all things when you do things lined up with what God's goal for your life is already. You just have to you have to find out what it is. Let go some of the baggage, which could be people, could be desires. Sometimes we just want to have the next biggest, baddest thing because we can. Doesn't mean that we should. So if our cars are still running and they just need an oil change, put an oil change in. If not, catch an Uber, catch a train, catch a bus, right? So I'm on the box. I'm going to get off of the box, and I'm going to ask Terri to let's see. I'm going to ask Ashley to get on the box next. Ashley, you can talk about today's topic. You can talk about anything that's on your mind. You don't have to stay focused on any one thing, but you are now on the box.
Okay, then I'll officially take it over. I'll continue on from Miss Terri Crook's story and her authenticity, her honesty, your testimony. My granddad is actually going through cancer right now, and so watching him, the strongest man that I know, face this battle has been hard for us. But I think that you spoke a lot to what you can do to support, what you can do to help, what you can do to make sure that those moments in life are lived to the fullest. And that's something that, I was really inspired by from our conversation today. And, talking about finding your faith, finding your fight, which is another thing that has inspired me from today's conversation. It's something that I'll carry with me throughout the rest of my day. As we approach the rest of our week, we have a lot of news to cover. We have a lot of new topics that we will be discussing. We'll be talking about new approaches to different things that are happening in life. And so I want everyone to be open to what comes to them and open to different process of thought. So having patience in your process of thinking and your process of being while here on this earth is extremely important. And so that's my time on the box, and I'll pass it over to you, Ms. Crook.
Well, everybody, I just wanted to let you know, to just keep reminding you that it is only halftime. You're still in the game. And let me just say the reason why I say this. If you saw the Super Bowl game back when the Patriots were playing Atlanta, the Atlanta team,
Falcons.
the Atlanta Falcons. Oh my goodness. And I was rooting for the Atlanta Falcons. Okay. When they were in the Super Bowl, the score was 28-3 at halftime. Okay. And we were up dancing to we gonna win the Super Bowl. We gonna win the Super Bowl. We were just so excited. But at halftime, when Tom Brady and the guys came out of the locker room, they didn't even look like the same guys that had gone into the locker room. They were looking at each other like, I got you. And next thing you know, Tom Brady started throwing that ball and it was connecting. Those receivers were catching and they were making touchdown. Before you know it, in overtime, they won the game despite what the clock said during halftime, despite what we were all saying. Oh, we gonna win, go home, Tom Brady, go home. We thought we had won, but they went in that locker room, they consulted with their coach. Go in your closet or whatever you connect with your coach, your God, your coach. Make that connection and listen to the game plan. Listen to what you need to do, what adjustments you need to make. So when you come out of that locker room and you get on the field towards your journey towards the goal, you can arrive, you can win, but you got to work with your mindset. Come up with your game plan and your mindset. And remember, it's only halftime. You are still in the game. Touchdown.
Wow, that's wonderful. And Tom Brady, 7 Super Bowl rings later, is still in the game.
Yes.
I want to thank Terri Crook for being our very dynamic, energetic guest for today. Thank you, Taryn, for helping us to produce this show. Thank you, Ashley Fields, for co-hosting along with us today. This show is fun because it is multi-generational and intergenerational. I call myself a boomer millennial or millennial boomer, whichever. Impeccable will be back next week. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Those who are going to watch it later on the rebroadcast, it'll still be up on the Afro's Facebook page. Please, as Impeccable would say, love a senior today. That's me and Terry. Love a senior today. Reach out to somebody who just needs your touch, needs your call. And we will see you next week. And remember, don't be a chicken. Get on the box. And I think our guest today would say, get in the game. Don't worry about the score. Don't even worry about if you dropped the ball a couple of times or even if the ball was intercepted. Stay on the field because it is only halftime and you've got the whole game to go. And even if you get to the end of the game and you think the score is tied and you don't know what to do, it could happen in overtime. So thank you all so much for joining us today, for being with us today. We appreciate each of you tuning in. and we will see you next week. Don't be a chicken, get on the box. Take care.